Welcome to The Jeweler's View. I'm Courtney Gray, metalsmith, educator, and creative business strategist. After 25 years in the jewelry industry, running one of the country's top metalsmithing schools, coaching artists, advising companies and organizations, and hosting interviews with some of the best in the craft, I finally created the kind of support I wish I'd had from the start. This podcast is a part of that. Each week, I share the lessons I had to learn the hard way so you can build a rhythm that supports your creative work, your values, and the life and business you actually want. Find tools, coaching, and my Transform course at CourtneyGrayArts.com, and let's get to work. Welcome back, my friend. When costs rise, it's tempting to think that everything is shrinking. Margins, options, creative freedom. But in creative businesses, constraints don't usually shrink opportunity. They sharpen it. They help you get a little more clear on what's working. Today, I want to talk about how limitations, material, financial, or structural, actually create clarity in design, in pricing, and in day-to-day decisions that quietly shape your business behind the scenes. This isn't about doing less because you're scared. It's about doing better because you're informed, you have data. And this will be the last episode where we focus directly on rising metal costs until the live panel coming up with the Badass Jewelers. The real work now isn't reacting. It's integrating what this moment is asking of us. Unlimited resources don't usually create really strong businesses, but clear boundaries do. When everything costs more, every decision carries more weight. And that forces clarity, whether we want it or not. Questions start surfacing that might have been easy to avoid before. What designs truly justify their materials? What work actually aligns with my skill level and values? What sells consistently, not just occasionally, not just when conditions are perfect? Constraints have a way of stripping away the noise. They expose habits that were running on autopilot. They surface pieces that were draining energy instead of building momentum. And they highlight where intuition has been overridden by comparison or fear. This isn't a punishment, it's information. And clear direction almost always arrives through contrast. One of the most interesting things happening right now is the design conversation. Rising metal prices are pushing some very smart, very intentional shifts. Weight-conscious construction becoming a feature, not a compromise. Mixed materials being used with intention, not as an apology or I can't afford XYZ. Smaller collections with stronger cohesion and identity. And services like heirloom work, remakes, repairs, and redesigns gaining renewed value. What I want to emphasize here is this. This isn't about downgrading your work. It's about editing with purpose. Design clarity isn't about scarcity. It's about respect for the material, for your time, and for the story that each piece carries. Many jewelers are realizing they don't need more designs. They need pieces that communicate confidence before a price is ever discussed. Work that feels deliberate instead of spread thin. This doesn't limit creativity. It actually gives it a spine. Pricing is where pressure tends to trigger the most emotion. And clarity here doesn't come from reacting to the market in real time. It comes from grounding decisions in logic and self-trust. That looks like pricing based on replacement costs, not what materials used to cost. Labor rates that reflect skill growth, not old habits or assumptions. Small intentional increases instead of big dramatic swings. And tiered offerings that create stability instead of fragility. When pricing is grounded, confidence grows. And confidence communicates value far more clearly than any marketing tactic ever could. This is also where many makers realize they don't actually need a new pricing formula. They need fewer decisions and they need better ones. Pricing clarity is rarely about math alone. It's about believing your work belongs where you're placing it. This is where structure really matters. And this is why my Systems That Save Time Masterclass is live right now. It's about building simple, repeatable structures that support your studio and your business, especially when conditions are changing. Not complicated systems. This isn't big inventory apps, just practical frameworks that reduce decision fatigue so you can stay focused on what really matters to you. And this is also where Transform fits into this conversation. Listen, Transform isn't about telling you what direction to take. It's about helping you build a structure that can hold change without burning you out or pushing you into reactionary decisions. The strategy isn't waiting for prices to stabilize. It's building a business that can adapt. Okay, I will see you for the February 24th panel with the Badass Jewelers. You'll hear working jewelers with decades of experience across gold, silver, steel, mixed media, teaching, and coaching talk honestly about how they're navigating this moment, not with panic, but with perspective. This episode and the last one are meant to set the stage for that conversation. So we're not showing up reactive, we're showing up ready. Rising metal prices aren't an ending, they're a turning point. And how you respond now, thoughtfully, intentionally, and with support shapes what comes next. Remember, constraints don't take something away. They point you toward what's essential. What's the next best step? And clarity when you let it lead is one of the strongest tools you have. All right, until next week, onward and upward. See you soon. Thanks for listening to The Jeweler's View. If today's episode gave you something to think about, consider sending it to a friend or share it on social and tag me at Courtney Gray Arts. You'll find tools, coaching, resources, and the Transform course at CourtneyGrayArts.com. And if no one's told you this lately, remember, you're not behind. You're becoming exactly the kind of maker your business needs. And that kind of depth, it takes time. I'll be back next week. Same time, same tough love. Onward and upward.